Matt Gode is in the building. What's up, bro?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's all right. So this is your first time, so I shoot this in Cronulla, and you've never been to Cronulla.
Is that bad?
Yeah, I don't know. You said, yeah, he's like, I don't know. When I get out of the city, I'm like, where am I?
No idea.
No idea. Yeah. It's not that bad here.
No, I love it, and you've got like such a beautiful view.
Yeah.
I understand why people flock to the Cronulla.
Yeah, this is why I don't leave.
Yes.
No, but thank you for travelling out for me, mate. I'm acting like you've flown to Brisbane or something, but it's not that bad.
No.
Yeah. So how you been, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Just like busy working on like a few projects and just kind of getting into the swing of the year, and yeah, but I've been really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool when because I'll ask someone to come on the podcast, and then they go, no, thanks. And I go, I think you'd be really good. And then I give it maybe like half an hour if I'm in person with them. I'll go, all right, let's do the podcast. They're like, yeah, I've had to think about it, and yeah, it'd be good. You said yes pretty quick. And I'm just like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? You're like, oh yeah, I would love. Is there stuff that you like, I would love to talk about this? Or
well, I guess like to an extent. I don't know, I feel like kind of like in our industry, like only like certain voices kind of get heard because they're like the people that kind of like scream the loudest. But sometimes I feel like the people that scream the loudest have like not a lot to say. So I think it's interesting to just like get different people's perspectives on this kind of industry.
Yeah, okay,
so
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to like hear different people's
and we were just chatting. We were just chatting offline, which was good too, or before offline. Is that even a term? So my mates gave me, all my mates who are, they're kind of like corporates, like one's a lawyer, one's is, and all that type of stuff. They have this term called offline. If they're in a meeting, right?
Yeah.
And then someone brings up a little side, and I go, yeah, mate, we'll just chat about that offline. And for some reason, I picked it. Yeah, I know, but I picked it up. Anyway, we were chatting offline, and you're saying you did a bit of research and you watched the Thanos one.
I did.
And you loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I really, as I was kind of saying before, like I think Steven's like kind of got his own brand. I look at him and I look at his movement and I get it as a package, and it's really like identifiable, which I think is really important. So I thought it was really interesting, some of the stuff.
And I've always got along with you, which is good. But I like how you've always been you're not rude, but you're not afraid to speak your mind. And and you were just saying like to me just then, oh, I love some of the stuff with Thanos. I don't necessarily agree with some of the stuff, but I love that he says that he commits to it. And that's something that I think you've done that people might have looked at God and gone, fuck, he's bold, hey. Like he's just gone, we're all traveling in this direction, and then someone has just gone bang, hammering that way. And you and Thanos have both done that at different timelines, I feel. Yeah. But where did your moment go where you just went, fuck it, I'm just going to start doing this? Because you were in that Lauren's year.
Yeah.
So you're in that vintage, you're in a lot of great just commercial dances.
So I did Brent Street in that year, and then I had a crack at like the kind of like commercial dancing, but I was too skinny, I was too femme. It was like, to be honest, like a lot of rejection, like initially, like when I first started, because there is obviously like this kind of like hetero mask look that like often gets like hired and stuff, which I didn't really have. So I like gave it a crack, and I still like loved dancing, but then I just kind of I got to know myself, I think, after,
so and
I kind of like found like my like kind of like I found my people, I found my interest, and I feel like that kind of like really like helped shaped me into like the kind of creative I am today. For example, like I'm like into fashion, like obviously I work in the fashion industry as well, and that helped a lot with kind of like shaping like my movement and my movement direction as well. And I'm like I like to like curate things together. I like to put like take references from certain things and like put them together in like a new context to create something new. So for me, it wasn't about so much as like looking at dancing and kind of like getting inspired from that. It was like looking at other terms of like art and translating that into movement and creating something new, using these kind of commercial dance tools that I'd already learned through my Brent Street training. Yeah.
And then that's how we get you.
That's pretty much it.
So I generally, if a well-known choreographer comes on, I go, so who do you are looking at? What are you looking at? I wouldn't say who are you looking at, but what have you
like
seen? like what inspires you? I wouldn't say who inspires you, but what inspires you? Because I've just never seen anyone in my little bubble move the way you do and choreo the way you do.
Yeah.
Boydie to an extent with some of your arm precision. And I've chatted with him many times about how much of a fan we are of your stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so where did that come from? Like, how can you go from learning, because who was teaching you at that time? You would have had Marco and maybe Matt Lee was running around.
It was like kind of like a
Cameo,
Cameron, Renee Ritchie, Carly Cooper, that kind of age group that was teaching us something.
So yeah, that's because it's like nowhere near, like, so
I in terms of like the movement exactly, I think it's like kind of a reflection on like me as a person and like kind of either my lifestyle, my personality. I'm like a minimal person, like I'm an organized person. I like things like clean. So like I feel like that translated like straight into my movement. Like I
like it clean.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I gravitate towards like angular modern things, like whether that be like architecture, interior design, art, fashion. Like I said, like it all translates into my movement. I'm not necessarily looking at dance and plucking at it. I'm like looking at other things and like translating that to my body. Yeah. And then lots of work initially for my like kind of like my creative choreography kind of like start was like me getting to know myself in the mirror and working out my angles. Where does my chin sit when I do that? Where is my shoulder sitting? And kind of developing this like my own movement vocabulary inspired by these things. In terms of like people that I'm like inspired by, it hasn't so much been like dancers or whatever. Like I guess to an extent, but I'm interested in like longevity. I'm interested in I want to be like the next Bob Fosse. I don't want to be like the next like 15-minute person because like I look at like a Bob Fosse or an Andy Warhol or a Miuccia Prada or a Raf Simons or like someone who's like transcends their time.
Something like
because I think everyone thinks very like immediate right now. Like you're just looking for like your 15 seconds of fame on the internet, but that really doesn't like translate into like helping culture move on or develop.
Yeah, shit. That's actually hectic. Yeah, no, I love that whole mindset. That's cool. So it's almost like we almost one day it'd be mad to say like, you know, can you give me like the Matt Gode era? Or like, is it Gode or Gode?
It's Gode.
It's Gode.
It is, but I think
who the hell said Gode one day?
So many people.
Who the fuck said
like
Gode?
I don't know, like I'd be like teaching at places and they'd like announce it and it's just like too awkward to like say anything and I'm not gonna be like,
excuse me.
So I just kind of like...
because I know when I first met you, it was Gode. I actually didn't even know you first.
Because I think people just saw it as a nickname.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then, I don't know where I heard Gode. But anyway, it would be nice to see that there was a Gode era. That would be pretty nice for people to go back and go, yeah, and honestly, I wish you were about 5 years older than me and you were established how you were then when I was training as a dancer. Because as I was just saying, for me, where I'm at, I love my dance gigs, I love when that work comes in, but I'm not necessarily in the class as much as I used to be. So I would love to have tackled your class when I was in more of a fresher mindset. Because now I look at it, and I've done some work for you, and I love doing it, but I've always looked at it on YouTube, and everyone's just so goddamn good, and like all the in your class, I'm like, fuck. I was like, no one even fucked that up, like that whole thing. Such an intimidation thing that, I don't know. Have you ever heard this from people, where people like they're a bit scared of your class?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, cool.
All the time.
Because I shit myself. When I got an email, it was for Will Saban, it was just doing for Nat Conway. I was like, great, I've gone do that Gode's choreographing. I was like, oh, fuck, okay, all right, I've got to practice my shit, you know?
Yeah, no, it happens all the time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, all the time.
And do you see that as a compliment, or are you just like, oh, come on, just give my class, like I want to teach you, or... What do you think? Are you just like, eh?
I think like I'm open to like anyone that kind of like wants to like kind of like learn new things. I think that's like why we're all here, like not only as dancers but like humans on this planet to like evolve. I don't see the point in like kind of like doing like the same thing that you're like good at over and over again. So yes, I encourage people to like come in, like give it a go. This is like what I do. I do it a lot, so I'm really good at explaining it.
Yeah,
I don't want to be like I'm a great teacher, but like I'm. This is like my thing, so I know how to like teach someone to do it. So and I just like encourage people to like give it a go.
Well,
like,
yeah, I'm actually glad you said that too, because the one thing that I did realize when you did start teaching it, I was like, oh my God, it's actually coming out so much easier than what I thought. So that end result, yes, it's impressive, and yes, it's over there, but the journey to get to that, whether it be in class or on a job, yeah, you actually do it really well. So I guess it's probably nice that we're kind of getting this to say it.
Totally, yeah. Because well, it is just like it's movement at the end of the day. Like we're as dancers, we're all trained to like kind of like execute movement. And it's just like it's putting A and B together. At the end of the day, it's just dancing. I'm just like going another way around it. So it's well within like all kind of professional dancers' vocabulary to do it. It's just that your body may not be like used to hitting some of these shapes. Yeah, that's like it.
That's it.
And like, yeah, I think people just generally like, I guess like scared of not looking their best, which I think is like a real like shame as well. Like especially in like a class situation as well. Like when I like just say I'm like teaching like a full-time class at like Brent Street or something. Like we just started like the start of the year. I'm gonna like open up the year and be like, guys, like this is like a class. I'm like encouraging you to like totally like fuck up, make mistakes, and then grow from that because you're not going to get better. Please don't like come in here expecting like miracles because like you're not going to like develop. Yeah. And I think that should apply to like kind of like dancers, like professional dancers in the industry today. But yeah. So
how long? So you've been like I've been looking at your stuff now. Your classes probably what you reckon 3 years now, 4 years? Like your open classes?
I started teaching open classes like 2013.
Right.
Like
okay.
like before like Instagram was a thing, but it was still like shitty filters and very like personal, but it wasn't like so much as like a dance format. It was like Facebook videos on like iPhone quality. So I was doing it like back then. Okay. But and I've just kind of like kept going, but I don't really teach that many open classes now.
And because you've had your own class running. But you're definitely not old, but you're not a spring chicken now. Would you still jump into class now? Like, where are you at? Like, do you look at other...
It obviously depends on the class. Like I took like Caitlin Watson just moved to Sydney. Like, I'll get into her class whenever I can. Like,
she's beast.
Love. And I think it's just so important for Sydney to have like such a strong female voice, especially in this kind of like hip hop realm. Actually, generally in like all realms, I feel like it's a very like male saturated industry, which is like very bizarre. So I think it's really important and empowering for her to be here. If like a good international is coming to Sydney, I'll like jump in their class. But I'm like I said, I'm not gonna like jump in a class if it's just like throwaway choreo and I'm just gonna like sweat for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm in a class, I'm gonna like, okay, like...
You really look at it as what can I learn?
Exactly.
Exactly, Okay, that's mad.
Because I've got nothing to like... I've got nothing to prove. Like, why would I go into a class just to like kill some choreo? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, big time.
Like,
And is there a little part of you where, say if you were to go into this class and maybe they might start filming or they might start doing groups, because so many people have looked at your work, do you feel like there's a few extra eyes that might
totally. Totally.
It sucks because I'm going around to like full times now and I'm giving that industry advice and do this and do that, and then I found myself going to class and then like a few people that I used to teach, they're all at the class looking at me, they're going, alright, well let's see what homeboy's got, because he just told me, I was chubby last week and I couldn't shift my legs, so I'm there going, fuck. So it's like the older I've gotten, I still want to do class, but it's like there's this bit of a pressure above my head now, where I'm like, man, I actually have to kill it. I actually can't be, I can't be the student I want to be, and I can't relax. Because every goddamn thing's filmed. God, just give me some space to be human for a second.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's such a weird thing. That's probably the only detriment I think what's happened with all this filming is that everyone's so damn scared to mess up now that we're not as human. Like,
exactly.
We can't be human.
And like no one's like wants to take the risk. So like if no one takes risk, like things don't like progress. That's why, like, to be honest, like you look at like dance videos now and it all looks the same. Like it does. Like, because like everyone's just kind of like, everyone's seen this kind of like formula of like a combination or like how it was filmed, like kind of like being put out there, and no one wants to like kind of be like, hey, let's try something different. We're like, no, this has worked before. This is like gained traction. Like this is like showing potential. Of course, I'm like gonna go with this, which is like a real shame because it's like if you look at like Sydney's dances as a whole, like they're amazing.
Yeah.
I've been around and stuff, and I'm like, no, Sydney is like where it's at, especially for like a jazz strong dancer. I'm like, it's out of control. But like you just see like some of the stuff, and you're just like, yeah, you could do more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you could, like, and the reason why like we tend to kind of like look up to like America and Europe and these kind of things, and like they're like, wow, they're so like new and current and pushing things. It's like because these people are like trying new stuff, they're getting new people to do stuff. Like whereas here it's very like same old kind of thing. Like they'll only trust the same people to do a certain job, or like the same people choreographing things, and it's just like not like progressive.
Yeah. So you've been doing some choreo work for Will.
Yeah.
In terms of like, do you feel like, because I know Thanos, he really kind of, and I compare, although you're completely different, I do like you and Thanos, because I remember when Thanos first rocked up, he just influenced a whole generation of dancers. You know? And then I feel like when you rocked up, all of a sudden there were people all of a sudden getting a lot sharper, and I found all these angles and stuff like that happening. Is there a way that you can keep this going so that we can see you on more gigs? Like where are you at work-wise now? Because you're doing some amazing fashion work as well. Like where are you, would you like to maybe push into like, I don't know, pitching for artists a little bit more and building your own?
Corey. It's hard here. Yeah. Especially because like I was just saying before, people want something that's like been done before here because it like works. People are putting money into this, so they need like a guaranteed result.
Oh, right.
Whereas I'm coming at it from like a completely new perspective. Like my influence is like from art and fashion, and that can like somewhat kind of like intimidate or throw some people because it's like, okay, well you want to like pitch this great idea for something that we haven't seen before, and we need to put money in it, so that's going to take us a lot of trust.
So the paychecks aren't willing to risk certain visions.
To an extent in the commercial world.
I
I have like worked with like a lot of kind of like underground and like kind of like up and coming and like kind of more like alternative artists. Like that's where like my client base is. But in like terms of like Australian pop music, it's not.
We don't have anyone.
Well, it's not. Yeah, and it's not really like my interest.
Like
anyway.
you as a creative director, as a choreographer, you'd like to think that you're an extension of whatever artist is that you're working. So say like the artist, you fit their mold.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know any artists in Australia that
it's all very
you're the mold.
Yeah, well, no, because it's like it's X Factor contestants singing kind of like generic pop songs that have already kind of been done before, and like I'm like everyone's got to kind of like make their money and like do their thing, but I just don't. I know I don't.
Yeah,
fit that.
Right. Okay.
And I'm like okay with that, but like when a good artist that I like kind of resonate with like does like come along, I'm sure to like get in there and like have a go. But it's still very much just kind of like people not wanting to like kind of like take risks on new things. Yeah. Because it's like they haven't seen it like done anywhere before. Right. But then what happens is like it'll kind of that thing that you're kind of pitching. Or like this kind of step that you're kind of like throwing out to the world, like people are a bit like, ugh, at first, but then like give it a year, it's everywhere. But by that time, you've already moved on to the next thing. Yeah. So it's a kind of this constant like cycle.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Is there a part of you that wants to pick up your shit, go overseas, and yes,
to an extent. I'd love to like eventually kind of get into really like big like mass kind of like production stuff, only because of like the scale of it, and just to see your ideas actualized on such a big big stage would be like so amazing.
Because I know there'd be people watching this going, yes, I can see that happening. I could see you like doing stuff for like a Gaga or stuff.
Of course that would be like the dream.
No, but that's like the dream. You know, and I've had chats like this with Thanos as well, and he's still finding his avenues, and he's got a great dance show coming out with Lucas and stuff like that. But I'd just love to see you do it. You know?
Well, I think
because you are good. You know.
I'm definitely like kind of interested in like the overseas kind of thing.
Great.
Yeah, like I said, just like that kind of like big scale production. But I guess like there needs to be a synergy between like myself and the artist. Like I'd only do it if I'm like, okay, like I get this person that I'm working for. And I can kind of meet them on that like kind of intellectual, like creative level. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just kind of like another job, isn't it?
Because have you? Yeah, I suppose it is. Have you ever met another choreographer who's in like your kind of category? Because like I can sometimes be a little bit out of touch on choreographers in LA and in the UK. I legit have never seen anyone that dances like you. Like, have you looked at some people and gone, oh, hang on, you're actually doing what I do?
Not really, and because like I don't really exist too heavily in a commercial dance context. I teach like this version of commercial dance to like full-time students because that's my job as a teacher. But in regards to like kind of like work and like projects and all that, like my movement and my like creative like translates into a fashion context. Yeah. It's not like it's not pop.
Yeah, no, it's not. I could like I'd love to, like say I could just see you over in like LA. And then like taking your own class, like you're a millennial, or like you're a, whatever the play one is, along with all the letters. Like whatever that one is. I don't know. I could just see you over there, and all the people just going, "Holy fuck! Who's this trendy little Aussie dude that's rocked up and he's like doing shit we've never seen before?" You know, that's just my two bobs worth. I'd love to see you do that. Yeah. But it's kind of like I'm talking about, like you're not doing anything because you're doing some great fashion work as well, and you're still definitely getting stimulated, and you're happy with what you're doing there. So tell me what you're doing there, because. I only know a little bit. Because you're with Vogue for a bit. And and you're still freelancing there. And
so I had a little start. I don't know, like I said, I've always just kind of been like very like interested in it, like ever since I was like a teenager and stuff. And it just kind of like, I moved to Sydney when I was like 18, and I was like, whoa.
Where are you from originally?
Country town in Queensland.
Get fucked.
Like country town in Queensland.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
So, it's alright. So what, did you like grow up like, tell me about that then. Do people know that? Is this common knowledge? No. Actually, I feel like I do know that. Maybe I don't. Well, anyway. So watch it. Big old country bumpkin. Look at you.
Yeah, well, I grew up like in this like town. It was like an hour and a half from Brisbane or whatever, and it was super tragic because there was one bus that left the town to go to like Brisbane City, like, and the bus like happened like 3 times a day, but the bus only went on weekdays, so you had to wait till school holidays to actually be able to leave the town. Wow. So it was like intense. So like every school holidays would be like, I'm out of here, I'm going to Brisbane. So I grew up there until I was like about like 15, and then when I was 16 I moved out. I moved in with my brother to a place in Brisbane. I was there for 2 years, and then I moved to Sydney. Right. Straight after that. Okay. But like when I was there, I was like, I knew it wasn't.
You knew it wasn't you?
No, I knew.
Did your parents know? Did they look at like young Matthew? He's not going to be
they were like,
sheep and...
When I said I'm moving to Sydney, they're like, we get that. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's mad. Yeah. All right. And do you go back?
Like a little bit every so often. My family's like all left there now. They all live in Brisbane now, so I go and see them. But like, I'd go to like the town like a little bit and stuff. It's crazy. Like nothing changes.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
That's hectic. Oh, I love that we touched on that. I didn't even think about that. That's mad. Oh, so what? And now, if you had, I asked Chris this the other day. Well, it's not out while we're recording this, but hopefully it's out if I've uploaded this. But Chris, midway through the podcast, he said, oh, you know what, fuck this, let's talk about, some like real shit, like all about the dancing stuff. Just like throwing it. If there's something that like you were like, I'd love to talk about this, with something that you've seen over the past couple of years, whether it being like the dance industry or maybe the fashion industry, is there anything where you've just gone, I'd love people to know about this, just like 2 bobs worth, because we is there anything?
Well, I think like I gotta know, like disclaimer, it's like, I feel like there is like kind of like a double standard. Like I feel like if I were to say something, it'd be like misconstrued as like shady. But I'm like, I'm giving criticism because I love the industry and I want to like see it progress. But it's like it is almost like double standard if someone were to say something and someone else were to say something. But like I do have like I guess like
a few things.
Yeah, I don't know.
What we might do is, because it might come out a little bit more naturally as opposed to putting you on the spot. But a question that I thought about earlier, which I'm kind of brought back around, is how do you take when you see people, I wouldn't say copy your shit, but you can definitely look at it and go,
yeah.
Do you get bitter, or are you the type of dude that's like, it's a compliment? Because I'm a compliment type of dude.
I like, it happens a lot. Like, I guess, like, when I was, like, younger, and it was, like, kind of happening, like, it was, like, I was a bit, like, kind of, like, not bitter, but I was just kind of a bit, like, what? I think I felt a bit like, well, I worked really hard to kind of like develop this kind of like movement vocabulary and this kind of like brand identity for myself, and I just see lots of people kind of like cheapen it.
Yeah.
So that kind of like aggravated me a little bit, and then you see like I said before, like I look at like some stuff now, and it was kind of like stuff I was doing like 4 or 5 years ago, and now it's like popular, which I think is like very like kind of telling of Australia generally, to be honest. But like now it's just like I'm just kind of like used to it.
Okay.
And it's like of course you get like a little bit like kind of aggravated if you see people making like a profit off your image. That's when it starts to get a little bit like, hang on. But it's just like people are finding their way. Like people are experimenting with like different things to like find where they are. Like, so I can understand. I can also understand as well if like I have like a student in particular that I've like taught for like quite a while, and obviously like I'm gonna like be influenced in like what they do. So I was like, I'm not gonna get like angry at it. But it's I guess it's more when it's like a kind of a complete stranger to me. It's just kind of like I've had like a weird like experience where like I've had like a whole like routine of mine like stolen to like the same song and same costume. Like it was like over in Perth and stuff like that I just kind of laughed at because I was just like, lol, I want to see it.
Surely wasn't the same choreo.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, so there's like stuff like that happens, but like sometimes it's just funny, but sometimes it's like a bit just like eye roll. Yeah, like it's not like you can't help it. So you've just got to keep.
Well, it's bound to happen.
You've just got to keep progressing.
As it's like. I love your analogy, how you're like, you know, I'm inspired by Fosse, I'd love to be like Fosse.
Yeah.
How many times have you been there and gone, okay guys, we're going to do a Fosse number?
Never.
Yeah. No, but like, well for me, like, say for growing up, like, okay, now we're going to do a very, we're going to do like a very Fosse jazz.
Yeah.
Eventually they're going, okay, one day we're going to do a very Gode jazz today. I mean, like, for where you're shooting.
Yeah.
It's actually bound to happen.
That's kind of the dream, because like he's transcended time. Yeah, like you still see it now, which is like kind of like that's like what a legend is, and like that's like I don't know. We should always keep striving to be like the best that we can be. So that's kind of like the dream. Which
is why I was kind of asking how you interpret when people start copying, because you are shooting for this iconic level. Yeah, it's bound to happen. Yeah, people are going to copy your shit. Yeah, so are you like, oh, it's happening? Or is it,
I actually, that's bitch. Actually, no, you've actually kind of like opened my mind a little bit. Yeah, no, it is interesting.
Because I think your level, and even like to an extent, like after that gig, there's just a few lines where I was like, holy, like no one, because my arms don't normally get there. Yeah. Like, but I don't know, you made me realise, and I was like, dude, the first, say in rehearsal, I think I forget what the first day was, but there was a moment where we were like this.
I remember, it was that full kind of like Vogue, like mirror moment type of thing, I remember.
And you know, obviously we're very different people to look at, so homeboy, you just like bang, bang, bang on there, just trying to get like big fucking arms and shoulder and So but even I learned from you, and I'm not saying I've stolen your stuff, but you've made me think, oh, okay, I can mold my stuff a little bit better.
Exactly.
But no, I'm not walking around doing all of this. I'm not doing any of that. But I suppose I'm glad a little light bulb moment, because it's saying when you're as good as you are, it's going to happen.
Totally.
And it's just that your style is so recognizable too. Yeah. Like you can spot it a mile away. Yeah. When you've done it. When you've done it, you can definitely And
that's what I kind of like and kind of like wanna. What I think is like important, and what I like don't think like you see enough of in Sydney is like kind of like with the like choreographers, because like to me it's like a brand. It's like a it's kind of like a whole philosophy. Like I like the idea of like kind of creating like a cult or a culture around my brand and my movement. Like there's a certain dancer, there's a certain attitude, there's a certain movement. I think that's really like powerful to be able to create this whole like culture based on this thing, which I've would have kind of like strived for. But I think there's just so much kind of like ambiguity like between like with like choreographers now. Like you see kind of people like copying and pasting like different things together that don't actually like go to the music, and they're just kind of referencing like things that they thought were cool, and like you can see straight through it, like, and it's very like but I don't know, so I like, that's like going back to like Steven, that's why I'm like, okay, like Steven's like another example of someone that I can see, like you look at him, you look at the movement, you look at the people around him, you like, there's like a culture like around that as well, which I think is like really important for like big creatives to kind of have.
It's you're kind of like creating your own little hip-hop world, and I'm only saying that because I was in the car with Dave McLean the other day, and we were chatting about certain things where he was just chatting about hip-hop, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying all this, but he was like, oh, there's a lot of people saying just doing steps of hip-hop, but they have no idea what the meaning was, where it came from, what the culture is, like no one like all of a sudden people are dressing a certain way, and they're like, if I was wearing that shit ages ago, that was hip-hop, that was a culture. So what you're doing is you're creating your own culture of like an extension of fashion, and like, you know, so it's kind of cool in a way. It's definitely not hip hop, but it's got a lot of parallels.
I know exactly what you mean.
Now, with people copying and pasting shit, because it's inevitable, it's going to happen. Where are you at? Because I got real hot under the collar about this, but with YANNIS and Squared and all that type of thing.
Okay, that drama.
Were you on that?
Yes,
I did. You were on that?
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. So we're talking Square Division choreographing Katy Perry. And Katy Perry? Swish Swish, blah blah blah, all that. YANNIS did choreo to this? In class? And you went, you took my shit. Bye. And you got real bitchy.
I didn't really like kind of like.
Do you know anything about that? No. We didn't sit on that because
I didn't really like get it. I like watched his like choreo video like after doing the thing, and I was like, I didn't really like see it kind of.
Did you? The only thing I thought was that they were in heels.
But Squared had kind of already done that. Like they did Kesha.
They did Kesha back in 1995.
Like in heels, and like even like prior to that, there was like that whole Madonna era of like boys dancing in heels. So you can't really own that. And I thought it was kind of like interesting that he of all people would kind of like call it out, because he had that whole drama with what's her name, Danielle Polanco, who was accusing him of doing the exact same thing that he was doing. So it's like this vicious cycle. But I didn't really think that they stole anything. Like even like doing the choreo like and everything, I was like, this feels very Square Division to me. It doesn't feel like they're
I mean, I think they've evolved a little bit, but Square have definitely got their style and they've been doing it for a long time. Nothing wrong with it. It's not broken.
Full respect to them as well.
It's hectic. So I was just like, shut the fuck up. I was just like, oh.
It was such a drama moment.
Bitchy.
It was very bitchy.
I love. Did Square say anything or do anything? They just kept doing their thing.
No, I don't think they would have acknowledged it.
I love that.
Yeah, well,
I think it's the best thing to do.
You can't like stoop to like can't stoop to their level. Like it's very like immature, I guess. Like, but I don't know. And there's like calling something out, and there's like having a tantrum over it, which I kind of like. No shade, but that's kind of what it felt like with the whole like lots of tagging of all these different people. And so I was living for it because it was like funny.
It was drama. It was something good.
But like no, I didn't get that. I didn't think that they stole anything.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I was just wondering your take on that, because obviously you've seen people resemble your choreo through their own work, and then you were in the middle of the job and I just thought, I kind of get where good old Frenchie's coming from, but then you actually looked at the work and said
no, because like the movement vocabulary is like very different. Like I feel like YANNIS is more like kind of like a sexual kind of movement with like very like flowy kind of like jazz arms with like occasional hit, whereas Square Division's like hard. It was like it was jazz. Like it didn't feel like a copy.
Hectic. Okay. Oh, well, that's good you got that take, because honestly I was so annoyed reading all that, and
it was great because I think he like, who was it? My friend sent it to me because like YANNIS posted like a photo.
Have you done his class ever before?
No. Cool. He like posted like a photo on his like Instagram story or whatever, and it was like the photo, like the stock photo from like The Voice, and it was like us now in position. So it's like me, I think it was Adrian, Thomas, I think Joel was there, and like Steven or something. We're all like in the end next to like Katie, and these like crossed all our faces out.
Wow.
Yeah, and my friend sent it to me, and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. Like I love that.
Yeah, that's unreal. Far out. So I just didn't get his angle. And like, does he work? Like,
I don't know.
Or is he really in this? I actually
had an interesting conversation like the other night with Zoe Black, because she is here.
Oh, sure, yeah, she's back in town. Huh?
Yeah, I think she's like going now. I don't think she'll like mind me like telling this, but like she said something really interesting about like how I guess like dances in LA. This probably doesn't apply to everyone, but like dances in LA, like it's not necessarily like everyone's striving to like choreograph for artists now. Like these kind of like mass YouTube like teachers are getting like big money to just kind of like teach, and like they're turning down these kind of jobs. So I think like Yannis would be doing pretty well just doing
just doing class,
doing this teaching thing and just traveling the world, and like that's amazing.
That's what I want to see you do, bro. I want to see you travel the world, and you know, I think you could do it standing on your head. Have you ever thought to do it?
Yeah, I'd like to, and I get the I get the privilege of like traveling around like even Australia. Like, lucky to do that, but like I don't know. It's just whatever like the world's ready for at that time. It's all like a timeline thing. Like it's like. I'm not saying it's like it works like via trends, but like people are ready for certain things at different times. Like look at movements through like art, look at movements through fashion. And people are ready for things at different times. And what seems to like kind of like be my like common thread or whatever you want to say. Like I'll like I said before, like I'll do something. And then like a year and a half will pass, and I'll see it become like kind of like popular. But I'm like, I'm already over that. I'm already on to the next thing. So it's like, for me, it's just trying to like my biggest lesson, kind of like growing up through like trying to like be a creative and a choreographer is like recognizing the difference between like art and commerce. And knowing what's what. Okay. So knowing where like what movement should sit in what context at what appropriate time, and then if the job calls for it or whatever. But I'd love to travel the world and teach.
Well, God, I hope some of your classes pop up a little bit more, because I don't know if people. Do you find people have a misperception on what you're like? Like, do people chat to you and they go, "You're really nice." Well, like you're actually a really good dude.
Well, I think people think like I'm decisive. I have like a clear vision of what I like. I have opinions, and people like misconstrue that as like being a bitch. Or like being standoffish. But I'm like, no, I'm a secure person.
Because
like I know who I am, and I know
you're so comfy. You really are comfy with yourself. Because so say if I looked at your Instagram and I looked at some of your classes that are out there, you'd be like, oh man, he's really kind of very fashion forward. Might come across a little cold, a little bit that. But then they chat to you. They go, oh, he's actually a dude from the country, from Queensland. He's actually like super nice. Do you find there are people that get a little bit surprised, like when they take a class, and like definitely. You see them, they warm up instantly when they feel your energy?
Especially when I'm in like a class situation as well. Like I don't think like being cold helps learning or like a learning environment. Like if I'm teaching a class, I'm like throughout like learning the combination, I'm gonna walk around to like everyone that I can to. I'm gonna stand with them and help them with at least one thing, because like that's my job as a teacher.
That's excellent.
I don't have like an ego in that sense. I'm here to like when I'm teaching, I'm here to teach and share. And that's kind of it. And like like I said, people like just kind of like misconstrue certain kind of attributes as being cold or standoffish, where it's just like I'm just doing my job.
Well, I felt as the little job that I did with you last year, there was definitely I felt like I definitely needed to learn from you, and the time you were giving to make me look better, it was great. And it's cool that you do that in your own classes, because I think I know we're in you got to film everything. That's just the world we live in now. But I loved it when people used to take the time to teach and maybe not pick out anyone. Because I feel like sometimes I didn't pay $20 to watch some other bastard do it.
Exactly. You want to like walk away from the class and like learn something.
I learned.
No, I totally agree.
So anyway, cut to you see me front row of a class next week trying to get filmed. Oh shit, that's cool. All right, man. Well, I'm about to wrap this up. But is there anything, the last final words that I say for anybody? I just need to clear up that it's Gode and not Gode.
It's Gode.
It's Gode.
I don't know. I feel like I guess like Sydney, like dance scene as a whole. Like let's really try and kind of like lift what we do. I feel like we're all like striving towards this kind of like we all want to be like America, or we all want to be Europe, but we've got the facilities here, we've got like the dancers here to kind of like do these things, but we're like not like pushing it. Let's really like push our creatives, let's really like push our like choreography levels, let's like stop being mediocre and stop relying on kind of like what's already happened, because it's already happened and it's in the past for a reason. I feel like people have made careers off mediocrity here. Point blank. I feel like it is, and because it is something that people can look at and they can immediately get. Like we like live on our phones now, we live on Instagram, so people want to look at something that's like kind of immediately almost like digestible. Whereas like I've never liked that. I want to like create stuff that like is like jarring and like a bit cerebral and a bit intellectual, that you have to watch it 30 times and then you're like, love it.
Yeah, right.
Because other like it's so surface, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I like feel like a lot of stuff that's like coming out is, it's like very like surface. I feel like people just need to strip it back and just kind of like look inside themselves and like project like who they are forward, instead of just kind of like cutting and pasting trendy steps together. Your
style was, I think, an evolution. Didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, no.
So, but was there a point where you were putting stuff out there? Like, was there a point where you went, oh, fuck, okay, I just need to put it out there just to see what happens? Like, were you a bit worried that when you really started finding yourself as an identity of, like, what Gode is, when you put that out there, were you a little bit worried? Because I'm sure there might be people out there going, yes, Gode, I love everything you're saying, but they're just too goddamn shit scared to be themselves.
Yeah, but like I'm not looking at it as like
acceptance.
Well, yeah, I'm an artist. I'm not like I'm not a commercial entity.
Right.
Like I don't give a fuck. Like I don't. Like
Have you always been like that?
Yeah.
Because full time you were like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think like a real like kind of like you're on the right track moment for me was I did when there's a backstory. It was like about like 2 years ago, I got an email from Berlin Fashion Film Festival asking me to submit something for their next like event, and I was like, okay, great. And so I created this video that I like sent it through. It's like it's like 4 girls and they're in like the band.
Oh yeah.
So
I remember seeing all
that.
that.
So
that was a submission.
Well, yeah.
I was wondering what the hell that was.
So,
I was like, dude, has Gode got his own goddamn band now?
No. So I sent it through to them, and then they like knocked it back. They're like, oh, we love it, but it's not right for like what we want to do now. And I was like, okay. So there's this other platform called Show Studio that's run by Nick Knight, who like for like most people, like he'd be known as like he shot the Bound to Kanye video. He's like shot Gaga a million times, like iconic Dior campaigns. Like you list any luxury name, he's done it. So I sent it through the Show Studio because that was like a amazing fashion film platform that I was like loved. And then I sent it through and I was like, we'll see what happens. And I sent it through, and then like 2 days later, I got an email back from him specifically saying like, I really like your work, blah, 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 blah. And that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, even if Australia is a bit like, we don't know what we want to do with it. If this person on the other side of the world who's like got these credentials thinks I'm on the right path, I'm like, then I must be doing something right.
Fuck yeah, that's hectic. That's hectic. Yeah. I love hearing that. And I love that you took the time to research into the material that stood out to you, to know who you need to send the email off to. Because whether you're shooting for, I like to, in reference to this podcast, a definite blueprint that is Sydney, you can definitely do your research and know who you have to send your shit to. Your blueprint wasn't in Sydney. You were looking far bigger than where we are right now.
No.
So you found out who you needed to. And I think anyone watching this, if there is one thing you do have to take away from this, know your market, know your worth.
Yeah. You've got to know your lane. Like, you've got to. There's no point being mediocre at 5 things if you can't do one thing good.
Yeah.
Like you've got to have your thing. You've got to be good at it, because otherwise it's just like it's like pointless.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like you wanna stamp your mark.
And no one can really help you find your thing, can you? Like you can learn and you can read and you can watch and you can admire.
I think it is about like educating yourself on like things
and really work it out.
Yeah, like you've really like I like encourage like my like students and stuff when I teach full time to like look at dance and get inspired, but like don't take from that, because it already exists.
Yeah.
What's like the internet doesn't need another dance video. We've got a million, like, and they all like look the same. So like, why not like recontextualize new ideas, and just like, even if it's like fucking weird, just put it out there. At least you're like creating something new, and then that can spark someone else's imagination to kind of like keep pushing. But it's just this kind of like repetition of the same like kind of trends and everything that you see in like movement that's like stagnating this whole like industry, which I think is like such a shame, because it's like everyone's like getting better collectively as dancers because we have access to so much more information now, but the work that you see them that's being asked of them is not at a high level.
Your energy and the edge that you have at the moment, you've had that for a while. I was teaching a girl the other day at full time, and she was 23 and not a lot of energy, style or anything. And was the second year group of full-timers who all came back. They're there for another year, and I was sitting down with them all, and I looked at her. She was a fine dancer, body and all that type of thing. My advice to her was, listen, I think you need to go get fucked up and go travel the world for a little bit and go get a bit of that.
Life experience.
Now, have you done that? Because you said you were quite, I'm sure you have, but you said you were quite sure of yourself even at full time. So so you've always had that.
It's like gut intuition. It's like you know when, like, I don't know, I've always just known. Like, even like growing up, like I said, I grew up in this like random country town. Like, I knew, I was like, I know I'm like, I'm not beyond this, but I'm like, I know there's like bigger things for me. I know I'm different. And then when I got to full time, especially, like, that was like such an experimentation year. Cause like, I moved to Sydney, and when I started the year, I didn't know a single person in the whole full time year, and I was just like, I'm just gonna see what happens. I'm like gonna experiment with my fashion. I'm gonna experiment with my movement. I'm gonna party. Like, because I like, as much as it's like frowned upon, like I learned a lot about like myself and like kind of like just generally like life, just like kind of like.
So it is a thing though, isn't it? You need to kind of have a bit of a lifestyle that takes you there. Right, okay, that's good. I just wanted to know, because obviously like you grew up and there was something deep down just going, homeboy, like, family's here, but you gotta get the fuck out there.
Exactly.
But when you got out there, then you really started pushing it. I was just wondering that, was that, obviously it was something natural, but you still even explored that a little bit.
I'm exploring it to this day. I'm gonna keep on exploring it for the rest of my life, because like things move on, like like things change, like the world's changing so much, like, and this is like what upsets me so much about like dancing, especially in like Australia, is because you see like all these other like kind of like things like progressing, like whether that be like kind of fashion or music or like whatever, and specifically in Australia as well, like, but like I just feel like dance is just kind of like so. Dance, like, I need to correct myself. Commercial dance in Australia is just very like stuck in its way. Like, whether that be like in regards to like this kind of like the movement, or even like so much as like the casting. Like as I was saying before, like when we were offline, I feel like it's very like heteronormative still. Like it is, like it's like you, even like as like a gay man, you'll like go to a job and they'll ask you to like dance like a man, and like this whole kind of thing, and then what you end up with is like sometimes like a very like misogynistic performance. You'll see like a group of male dancers and one female artist, and they're looking at her like a bunch of sleazeballs, and people like approve that. And I feel like it's prehistoric. Like I feel like that's not relevant anymore. Like, and like this whole kind of like I don't know why are we not seeing like kind of like a more like just for instance as like a more of like an Afro or a hip hop number on like a talent show on TV. Why am I not seeing like more island people? Why do I see like a bunch of people like, they're amazing dancers, but they like don't look at that brief? Like, where's like the trans community? Where's like the gay community? Where's the queer community in this? But when it's like filled with it. But all we get is this very like kind of watered down pedestrian like cookie cutter like version, when I think like we don't give the audience enough credit. I feel like everyone's like, well, no, this is what people want to look at, but it's like, no, people want to look at interesting things, and people want to talk, so you want to give them stuff to talk about. So we haven't even given the audience something else to taste for them to know what they like. Because like they've been tasting the same shit for And why do you think dance is like dying? Because like you're just giving them the same shit for like more money. Like I feel like if you're gonna like do it, I'll just try something different, see what they like. But
Yeah.
I would like to see, a lot more like representation from like other minority groups in this kind of scene, because it's not, it doesn't matter like so much how you look now. It's an attitude.
Yeah.
It's like what like you kind of like bring out when you're dancing. Like,
Yeah.
so that's something I'm really passionate about as well.
Yeah. I don't know how. I'd love for it to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to happen.
Well,
I think someone who's really dedicated.
But you see it in like kind of like LA and LA and like Europe and stuff. You look at some of the casting, you're like, oh, that's a really interesting person, and they're an amazing dancer, and that adds to the performance. It creates a sense of kind of like society and kind of realism. Like people all like, I don't know. I feel like here it's very just like safe and pretty, which is like, I guess like fine to some people, but just like in terms of progressive, I don't think it's progressive.
Mate, well, yeah, so I feel 100%, because as I said, I've now been, I think this is about my 10th year kind of working as a pro dancer, and you're right, I've been doing the same shit for 10 years, because I'm fitting that mold that what you're saying, I'm feeling that mold, like I'm a certain size, I look like this, and all that type of thing. So yeah, as much as I know that I would probably need to make myself a little bit more versatile, but yeah, you're right, because there's some serious talent out there.
Serious talent,
man.
Like, and I don't like, that's one thing that kind of, there's a bit of a question mark for me. I'm like, I don't really get where everyone's kind of coming from, but I think it links back to what I said before. Like, people have seen past examples of this a certain type of casting working so many times. So like, why are we going to change it? Because it's worked. Like, but that's like, I feel like as a community, we need to ditch that way of thinking. We need to try new things.
Australia has a little bit of a lack of culture when compared to Europe.
Yeah.
I think Melbourne's got maybe a little bit, maybe if I look at Sydney, we might have a bit of a lack of culture. I think there's people that maybe Sydney doesn't recognise it as much. I think because my cousins have just moved back from Paris. She lived over there for 20 years, married a Parisian man, they've got kids and all that. Anyway, he went down, they moved back here after 20 years. He flew down to Melbourne for the weekend, and he went, oh my God, I love Melbourne. I love Melbourne. Yeah, he's gone, there's more fashion, there's better nightlife, the city's got a pulse. Yeah. Do you think, mate, I don't know, are there, like, do you resonate a little bit more sometimes when you're down in Melbourne? Like, do you
to an extent, when I'm like there, I'm like in and out, so like not really, but like, I guess,
like, how's it going to happen?
I feel like there is even this culture in Sydney. Like I said, I work in the fashion industry as well, and that culture, that diversity, and like that, like kind of like this new kind of edgy way of, I hate to say the word edgy, but like kind of new way of looking at things. It exists in Sydney. It exists in music. The only like thing it doesn't exist in is commercial dance.
So everything you've said is like bang on. Like, it'd be great if it happened. I think for our evolution it would be good. More people, you'd probably see less choreographers maybe coming up through the ranks that are just reproducing what we've seen. And people would start looking at your stuff a little bit more closely on a wider scale. In your mind, who is the person that needs to make that happen? Is it the clients? Is it like people and say like Nokia, Sony, Kellogg's? Like,
well, they're the ones that are hiring everyone.
Yeah, so are they the people that need to go, okay, someone needs to take a risk and go that way? Or does it fall into the people pitching it? Does it fall into like a kind of mass movement on how we're dancing as dancers?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I just don't know who's the first domino that needs to fall for this to happen.
I think it's a kind of 50-50 between the people pitching kind of concepts and the people like hiring. I feel like there needs to be like more of a communication there. And yeah, I think that's like a complete 50-50. Right. I think like we need to not give people a chance to do this same thing over and over again. Okay. We need to go like full force, full like creative, and like be like, this is where our industry has progressed, you need to keep up. Because that's what every other industry has done, and they're all like doing really well. But Sydney commercial dance has just plummeted. Like honestly, like there's not that much work anymore. Like it's just like plummeted because it's like, it's not, like I'm not excited about it. Do you know what I mean? I love it, but I'm not excited to see the next like the next dancing on this show, because it's like it already exists. We've seen the same thing like 5 years like over and over again. Like we want like even longer now, we want like new things, and like I don't know. So I feel like we as a community really need to be like, okay, like let's really like back our creatives and let's really like get behind them and like start reinforcing like these kind of like new ideas. let's really like take a step back and like, yeah, look at it as a whole. Like, yes, people make money off this kind of like, of mediocrity, but is that really doing a service? Like you say you're like doing it for the industry or like whatever it is, but like it's just kind of trapping us in more.
Right.
Like it really is. Like I said, I work a lot with like lots of underground and kind of like alternative artists and stuff. They don't know our world exists. Because it's just kind of like boxed itself off and just kind of like associated itself with like X Factor contestants and like that's the dream. It's like, no, there's like a whole kind of like world of these other clients that are out there, but they don't know that this exists because it's just kind of like, it's very like closed off and it's very like it's not pushing into like modern world. It's like
I've almost had these exact same conversations with other people that are coming from different angles, whether it be more of like a hip hop vibe or even if it's from like a ballroom type of vibe, where like there's so many people doing the same thing. I almost feel like it might be even a cool podcast because honestly this has been one of my favorite podcasts so far. There's been some real shit coming out, but it'd be good to maybe get, say, like you, maybe someone who really resembles from, because there's some people even like I've been sitting next to them at like a few industry nights and there's like a hip hop routine up and they're doing stuff and like they're like, this is the biggest insult to my culture, what I grew up with, what they're seeing on stage. So everything that you've said, I know that there are other people in different genres all over Sydney and Australia that are all thinking what you're thinking. Sure, you're coming from different places. But
and there's people even in the commercial scene that talk about this. I'm not like a lone soldier here. Like,
oh no way.
People talk about this. It's just because if you, like we said before, if you tend to have an opinion on things, you're not supporting the Australian dance industry. It's like no, like I'm criticizing because of the facility and the talent that it has.
Criticizing for evolution, though.
Exactly. Like
I'm just challenging you. I'm not rapping you.
Exactly. And like that's it.
Yeah, and it comes down to, I guess, some personalities as well. That when you're in a certain place, how like do you reach such a peak that you can't in our world that you're now not opening yourself for critique?
Yeah.
How do you act to criticism? Because you're
like
very sure.
Personal or
like oh no, like say like they look at it and they're just like, oh Gode, like your stuff's good, but I haven't really seen it evolve. It has, but in the past 3 years.
Like if someone were to say
if someone were to say that, are you a little bit like, do you sit back and look at your work before you tell them to fuck off, or are you really sure on your work?
I don't know. I think it like depends like on who the person is saying. Like if it's just like another, like to be honest, if it's not like another dancer, some random, I don't give a fuck. Like who are you to say that? Whatever. Like, but if it were to be like someone that I admire and they're coming at me like, but you could do this, I'd take it all on board because like I like admire that person. But if it's just I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, okay, cool. No. Oh, that's good though, that there still is a part in you that's still very much open.
But I'm accessible to who I need to be accessible to. Like I don't like, I'm not like, this is just who I am and I'm not gonna like change that for like anyone.
This is
like,
cool. Well, mate, we were just about to wrap this up maybe about 15 minutes ago. We just, hit a little nerve there. That was some epic shit. I really hope that, because, you know, these podcasts, they're great. I love doing them, and it's a form of training for me. But I'm really finding some of, like, my best ones, because the person might not have 50,000 followers and all that, no one's fucking watching them. Or not the right people are watching them. And, man, I hope people listen to this one. Because that was good. That was like real good. So my little music will come in about now, and this is when I go Matthew Gode. I almost did it again. Matthew Gode, that was hectic. So if you liked this podcast, like, subscribe, all that stuff, you know what to do. But Matthew Gode, thanks brother. Mwah. Catch ya. Right, that was epic.
Hectic.
I love that.